I've been really looking forward to today's episode because it helps to finish off the downtown skyline in a way before we start crawling down in height in Midtown and the Uptown builds, but also B, it also continues to add a little more of a luxurious feel to the downtown core, something that I feel that we're missing for such a prime piece of real estate. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'll explain the vision of the Penthouse in just a minute. Now, for those of you just discovering my channel and just discovering my little corner of the internet, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sins, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games in a life simulation gaming space. And if you didn't catch the episode before this one, you'll actually kind of miss out on a little bit of the vision for this one because I happen to have spoken extensively about today's episode in the last episode. But anyways, just to recap a little bit, in the last episode, I built a high-rise and I paired it with a brick mid-rise that had one of those Roaring Heights skyscraper objects just kind of sitting on top of the roof. Well, today we're mirroring that completely and I'm going to be changing the color of the brick mid-rise building. And yes, we are indeed continuing the build out of my SimCity series. Hopefully that icon pops up properly. I forgot to do that in the last episode, I think, or at least introduce it in a way. Anyways, today we are indeed building a penthouse, and it's the first and really only residential building within the downtown neighborhood. Now, for the downtown core, it's really made up of three or four different neighborhoods here. We've got the downtown proper, which I've always called like the central business district. It's where we built out all of those it's where we built out pretty much the stadium, the hospital, the green space lots, the green space area in the heart of downtown. And we've also got like some rabbit hole buildings, including the spa, the science building, and also the business building that came from the Roaring Heights DLC. And so we've got more inner city neighborhoods to build out, and that includes, of course, Midtown, which lies just south of this. Like, they're separated pretty much by a street, by an avenue, or sorry, by a boulevard, if I remember correctly. And then there's also the Uptown neighborhood, the Bridgeview neighborhood, and of course, like the Far East Square neighborhood, which is a neighborhood that is essentially like an Asian fusion neighborhood. Like, it's a more cultural neighborhood there. And so they're all going to piece together and they're all going to really like build up to the skyline. And because we are in the downtown neighborhood, I really wanted the high-rise buildings here to be the tallest they can be. And so, you know, I opted to just mirror what we had done in the last episode for this episode. And with them being separated by a couple of skyscrapers between them, I felt that it looked right first and foremost for the skyline. And I also feel like with the step down in building heights for Midtown and Uptown, that it would really lead up nicely to this core of taller skyscraper buildings. Of course, there'll be some exceptions within Midtown, if I remember correctly, but yeah, that was kind of the idea here, was just to mirror it on this side. And a lot of times in cities, they do build towers in pairs, and so I kind of wanted to emulate that just a little bit here, that this set of towers was essentially developed by the same developer. And yeah, I really like how the form of it all came together. And with that said, because I have to mirror it on this side, I'm having to do the same with the streetscaping and with the brick mid-rise. The biggest difference here is that I changed the color on the brick mid-rise, and I'm not too sure how I feel about the color per se, because like the darker purple bricks from the last episode, I really liked how those looked. But when I went with that dark red brick that we used in the SimCity Harbor neighborhood, and something that I wanted to reuse somewhere in downtown, I just kind of felt like it didn't translate as well here, and you guys will kind of see why. And that's another thing that I will likely edit when I get around to filming the editing episode of the downtown core neighborhood. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to stay by the time I get this uploaded to the Sims File Share net website, but yeah, for now, like for this episode, the red brick does stay. It's something that's gonna very likely change. I might even change it back to the purple brick, but I kind of don't want to have them exactly the same. Like, I get that this lot and the last episode's lot are a mirror version of each other, but I didn't want to necessarily have them be identical to each other. I wanted there to be some differences. And one key difference here is actually like the fact that the alleyway isn't activated in this episode like I did with the last episode. I wanted to make sure that the alleyway actually functioned like an alleyway, not like an activated alleyway with like a cafe or something in it. If anything, like I will add another garage door into the back of the building, and I'll explain why I did that here in just a brief moment. So full disclosure here, for some reason my audio software decided to delete this particular clip, so that's always fun to figure out. But in this clip, I really just wanted to explain here that throughout the Penthouse build, it took a lot longer than what you guys are actually seeing and what you're privy to viewing this go around. And I had to cut a couple of things here and there. And one of the things that I cut was actually the development and the design of the parkade structure. And the reason why I decided to cut it is because I actually needed to relocate the parkade structure to a basement level just below it. Thankfully in The Sims 3, like with the basement tool, it pretty much just like completely allows you to build basements really anywhere. And yeah, I had to add another level to the basement because I ran into a problem space that is generally caused by the late night shell itself. So, like in the last episode, the problem that I had working with this particular late night high-rise shell is that in order for the building to load without clashing against the walls that you use to build the upper levels with, you have to taper it down as you get to the top, so you have to kind of stagger the design of it. Again, I apologize if I explained this a couple of times over, but it was a problem space that I really had to face. But yeah, what this kind of led into is it really led me to realizing that I'm not going to have a lot of space for any amenities. And when it came to like amenity rooms and like being able to offer amenities, that's a really big selling point for buildings like this that are in the middle of downtown. I mean, nowadays when you look at luxury towers, all they do is they purport themselves to have spa-like amenities and services and all that. And with the way that the late night shell was developed, I didn't even have space for a proper fitness center. So I flirted with the idea of placing like an amenity space within the brick mid-rise building that was just sitting adjacent to it. But when but the problem with that is just that it clashes against, like it competes against the Roaring Heights high-rise object that I placed on top of the roof to give it more height. So I didn't really want to do that just from a player experience standpoint there. So the idea is actually to create an entire amenities floor, and to create that floor, the only space I really had was the basement. So that really led me to relocating the parkade structure from the first basement level to the second basement level, because I really wanted to include a pool of some sort. So yeah, I was very happy with that idea when I actually came about it. It's a shame that I lost the original audio for this clip, but that doesn't happen anywhere else. So a little bit of a weird problem that I'm kind of experiencing here. But yeah, the way that the parkade structure was set up is so that the owners of the penthouse have 3 parking spaces to work with. I feel like in condos, like depending on how many bedrooms your unit comes with, you either get 1 or 2 parking stalls. With the penthouse here, the luxury offering is actually 3 parking stalls, and I have seen that reciprocated in other like luxury tower tours and all of that. So that was the amenity that I really wanted to bring here. And even though with the way that the Sims 3 works with vehicles and all that, like you obviously wouldn't see like vehicles driving around and such, I felt that I designed the parkade structure realistically enough so that if they ever did move around and move about, that it would actually look, they would actually have the space to park their vehicles properly. Speaking of which, that university life by debug mode for those parked vehicles is such a saving grace. For those of you that build parking lots or want to like give some sort of a parking element to your builds, you absolutely need these objects, because otherwise like placing empty parking stalls causes townies to like fill those parking stalls up with their random vehicles, and they always like to abandon their vehicles. So yeah. One of those quirks about the Sims 3 that is just kind of a pain in the ass to use. I'm sure that there's an NROS mod or an NROS setting out there that eliminates pocket cars for townies and such, but I'm trying to also, like, from a creator's perspective, try to develop the world and to develop the lots so that players that don't use custom content or that don't use mods are able to actually play the world, and it's still like it's built to the functions of the game as it is. And in this case, the functions of the townies is just to spawn a pocket car for every empty parking space, or so it seems. So those university parking lots are a lifesaver, I tell you that. They will be a lifesaver for that. By the way, if I sound a little off today, I am actually recording this episode while I am a little under the weather. Maybe it's translating on camera, maybe you can hear a little bit of a difference, maybe not. But anyways, if I sound a little bit off to you, it is not your hearing, it is actually the speaker in this case. Okay, so back to the lot build at hand here. When I was constructing the parking lot, I did want it to feel big. I wanted it to be relatively realistic in terms of the scale to the building and to the amount of residents that it would hold. Now, the thing is that when you live in a high-rise building, parking is always an interesting thing. Like, sometimes you can pay for a parking spot, other times it's included in your price, so it really depends on the developer, I suppose. But in this case, because I am building a luxury penthouse, that's actually going to be a luxury penthouse, mind you, I wanted to give the player 3 parking spaces, and yeah, I felt like it was a really good choice. The parkade, I feel, turned out looking pretty realistic from what I gather. Again, with the way that cars function, they really only drive on the road in The Sims 3, so it's not like you have cars whizzing around in the parkade structure or anything of the sort. But yeah, I like how the parkade turned out. I'm not editing that. I built what I built. and yeah. I like how it turned out, and I feel like it's functional for the players and appropriate for the scale of what I'm going for. Now, what you'll probably see on screen is me editing the amenities basement level. When I was kind of brainstorming to myself as to what kind of amenities I could offer in a basement level, I was really wanting to offer some sort of a fitness center. And that's kind of when I got this really great idea, because I was really lacking luxury amenities to offer the residents here. But the idea was building out a Turkish hammam inspired like spa. So that was really what I wanted to go for when building that out. And I was searching all over, like, for different kinds of references and all that. And yeah, I found a couple of really good references that I used, and I like using some sort of that obsidian gray for the actual pool area. So yeah, I really wanted to include some sort of a Turkish hammam inspired spa along with a pool. And with those hammams, they are usually separated by gender. And so yeah, they're like really cool spaces that you can actually see and experience if you're ever in Turkey or in a place that has this kind of a Turkish hammam inspired spa. And so yeah, I just kind of went with it because those looked really luxurious, and I really wanted to bring that feeling of luxury into this build as an amenity, because we were missing amenities. And when I did the layout of the actual penthouse, which I did off camera, mind you, there was no fitness center or nothing of the sort. So the amenities floor turned out phenomenal. Like, I don't think I'm going to honestly edit it at all. I might edit like some of the ceiling tiles, and I don't really like editing ceiling tiles because it's not an angle that I typically use in game. And so I've like sort of done it on the fly here and there, but yeah, I might actually go back and edit the ceiling tiles in this case. And yeah, I love how this turned out. I think that the concept of having a Turkish hammam in your high-rise building is a pretty phenomenal concept to have. And I gave it some modern twists here and there because this is a high-rise building. It's a skyscraper, and I feel like something like that, to include something very old school to it, would have some modern twists here and there. And so I tried to keep true to the hammam inspired layouts for both of the gendered rooms, but it was it was something that I thought was a stroke of genius, if I dare say so myself. For future high-rise buildings, like for high-rise shells, I have done experimentations of just like placing the different late night shells out there just to kind of get a look and feel as to how those behave. And luckily there are some high-rise shells out there where I don't have to stagger the top levels in order for it to fit inside the shell building. So that is something that I am very much looking forward to when building. This will be the last time I use this particular high-rise shell as well, so that's also something to kind of keep in mind. But yeah, I really I just wanted to mention that here because it does change the form. And when building future high-rise buildings, if I'm ever going to include amenities, it's actually going to make a lot more sense going forward. Like, I would never expect an amenities floor for a luxury apartment to ever be built in the basement. I don't think that's ever been done before or even heard of, really, because part of living in a high rise is getting the views of the city and the views of the environment and the surroundings and all of that. And I just feel like if you built an amenities floor in the basement in the real world, it just kind of defeats that purpose altogether. So I don't think that an amenities floor in the basement would ever happen in our wildest dreams, not unless something very unique needed to be built within the basement. But hey, that's just kind of how it all worked out here. And this was something that was more so dictated by the game mechanics than anything else. But yeah, for other late night high-rise shells, the amenities floors that I do plan to build for those will likely be a little more realistic because I didn't have to, like I said, I did some playing off camera with those and some experimenting off camera with those, and I didn't have to stagger the top levels to fit within the crown graphic shells. So yeah, very happy that this is gonna likely be a unique experience and a unique build out for this particular high rise in terms of offering luxurious amenities to the residents that actually live here. So with the hammam amenity, just to kind of stay true to hammams that are inspired by Turkey, they're usually separated by gender, or they separate their operating times by gender. So, you know, for example, men might only visit during certain hours, or women might visit during other hours. So I decided to honor that, to really honor that inspiration and to honor that old traditional form within this build. And yeah, I also needed to use a lot of space as well. So so yeah, the amenity floor was created. It was something that I actually had to build larger than the parkade, just the floor below it. And the reason being that I had to do that is because I wanted to include the pool. So the pool had to obviously not interfere with the parkade structure below. Otherwise that would look a little odd. But yeah, I had a lot of space to work with, and I was really glad that this idea was something that I came up with, just because it all kind of fit naturally and it all just kind of fell into place without me thinking too hard about it. Like, I had my certain sources of inspiration for the design and the color schemes and all that. However, it all just kind of came together really nicely. Something that you will actually notice me do when it came to the interior design is I used the same panelings that I used for the parkade structure in this build, and the only thing that I changed really was just the material and the color. So it looks very luxurious, like you have these gigantic tiles on the wall, specifically like within the pool. And I actually use that again in the actual penthouse unit itself in the bathroom. So it just kind of goes to show that there are so many ways you can use certain wallpapers and certain designs in The Sims 3, as long as you change like the materials and such and the color schemes. There's more than one way to use it, is really what I'm trying to say. And with the color wheel and with the patterns that you have access to within The Sims 3, the limitations are honestly just pretty much limitless in a way. Okay, wait, not limitless. The limitations are, yeah, there's so much potential to like customize everything to a look and feel, or to a certain look and feel. And so yeah, those panels, I really wanted large tiles in both the pool itself and also in the unit's bathrooms. But anyways, so yeah, there are two hammams that are in here. One's for boys, one's for men, one's for ladies. And the unfortunate part is that when you are building a residential lot, unfortunately, the gendered doors are not available. They're only available to use in the community lots, which is weird in a way, but whatever. You know, I just had to let that one go. I've had to let a lot of things go when it comes to creating this project and creating this world, starting with the name of the world itself. But hey, that's just me complaining about EA. So yeah, the two hammams here all connect to the actual gym that you will see me build out as well. And the gym amenity itself was something that I really wanted to offer extensively to players that decide, to residents that live within this tower. And the reason why I really wanted to include a gym, to include these kind of amenities, is because the official gym lot that I'm going to build will be out in Blue Water Village whenever we get to it. And that build is pretty far away from this one. It's pretty far away from the downtown core, and that's something that I am taking into consideration when building out some of these other high-rise buildings. It's just like, what amenities residents actually need, and a gym is actually going to be one that they would need, just because they're not going to go all the way out to Blue Water Village just to go to the gym there. So I really wanted to at least have the gym amenity here, but then when I came up with the hammam idea, I was just so in love with it, and it just all really came together. So yeah. The gym was something that was absolutely necessary here. When I was looking at different hammam inspirations, I really liked and gravitated towards the marble on marble look, and so that's what I had decided to choose for this style for the basement hammam. Essentially, the amenity hammam actually sounds better, so maybe I will hopefully remember to refer to as that. But yeah, it's a lot of white on white, and that was really a look that I was going for when it came to both of the hammams, and I tried my best to make both the men's and ladies hammams exactly the same in terms of style and everything, and yeah, I really like that look of the marble on marble, where you just think that like the floor just, or like you think that the bathtub was built directly into the floor, etc., etc. Also with hammam designs, I found that there was like always some sort of a raised platform in the middle of it, and I believe that it is used in hammams. I could be wrong on that, so again, feel free to correct me in the comments section below. And so yeah, that was something that I really leaned into, and the lighting and the colors for the hammams, the gym, and also the pool was all made different on purpose, like when it came to the colors and the lighting choices. Like the lighting in the pool is, well, it's mixed gendered because it leads into both of the hammams, but I made that one like that flame colored light that I was using quite extensively in the last episode at the champagne lounge build. And for this one, I used that flame color yet again, but because I used a different color scheme, it felt a lot more romantic in there. And I think you'll even see it on screen here if it's not shown already, but I did try to like change the color of the hammams to like that flame color as well, but it just kind of threw off the look, and I wanted it to feel more white on white, and that included the light. So I didn't like it for the actual hammam itself, but I actually did end up using the flame colored lights for the steam room and also for the massage room, because I did like the look. I just didn't like it for the main hammam space itself. The gym does go back into like the regular white lighting. The gym looks exactly what it's supposed to look like. It looks like a gym. So there was really no special design that I had in mind for the gym, but I did want to offer like all of the gym activities that you can possibly do, like all the athletic activities for the most part, like where it makes sense. So of course there's not a rock wall in this one here. Sorry to disappoint you if you were looking forward to where I'd place a rock wall, but it's not in this build. But I did actually place the World Adventures martial arts fighting stand. I've only ever placed that in one other location, and it was even done off camera, so you guys wouldn't have known about it, but it was uploaded. So luckily, like the lot was uploaded with it in it, so you know, you guys still got it. But I uploaded the military base lot that I built way back in the harbor when we were building out the harbor lots, and I added in the World Adventures, like martial arts, the dummy, I guess it's called, the martial arts dummy or something. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's one where your sims actually train for the martial arts and they can actually gain that skill. So for those sims that are looking, like if you don't like playing with World Adventures, I personally do, but you're not blocked from getting that skill if you are looking to raise that skill. And so yeah, it just kind of goes to speak, it just goes to show that the amenities being offered in this particular tower for these residents who live in a penthouse goes above and beyond what you would normally get in the other towers. Like if I were to like predict in the future, if I do build another high-rise tower, a residential high-rise tower, I'd likely only like put in a gym, for example, or maybe if they don't have laundry, I would put in a laundry room within that high-rise building. I hope I'm explaining that correctly here, but yeah, this one just felt a lot more luxurious. It offers a lot more amenities, a lot more experiences, including massage and also the steam room which are 2 DLCs that I really love, and they came with Sunlit Tides. And if you get the gold version, which I do recommend, you know, picking up if you are considering it. And I hate to like keep dropping the Sims 3 store because I'm not exactly a fan of the way everything went down, but you know, I always say do your research before you pick up any of these items, so take from that what you will. But yeah, the massage table and the steam room DLCs were certainly something that I felt really go a long way and go to add that this is indeed a luxury place. If anything, I could have maybe added in a tanning salon, or sorry, a spray tan machine or whatever they're called somewhere, but you know, I definitely didn't, but I don't think I have space for it either, so who cares if I missed it? They could just go to the actual spa if they really want to get that spray tan. But, you know, that might be something I could edit in later on, but I'm not too sure if I would have the space for it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I feel like it or not. Like I might actually, like now that I'm just kind of brainstorming out loud, I might actually extend part of the change rooms or something into the, I might extend that into some of the public space just outside of the elevators to fit it in, if I even do decide to do it. You'll have to find out in the editing episode that'll be upcoming. I say all this just to really, I guess, try to defend myself in trying to offer like real luxurious amenity spaces, elevated amenities, if you will, in an unconventional location of the building, which in this case is the first basement level. Like to me, like when you have a luxury tower like this, your amenities need to feel elevated. And just like with the shell building, and I know I've complained endlessly about it in this episode and the last one, but it just really didn't afford that kind of space for me to really deliver on a big vision here. I also want to point out as well that the sinks that are actually in the hammam spaces themselves is from the Dragon DLC or whatever that world was called. It came with the pet dragons and such, which is such a throwback to the Sims one. But anyways, I am not entirely like crazy about the sink designs themselves. Like there aren't a whole lot of floating counters or floating sinks for that matter. And yeah, really not entirely thrilled with that design particularly, just because it looks a little weird, but I really like the form and the shape of it, so I just kind of kept it in. I'm getting a little distracted here, just kind of looking around at my own work. But yeah, I really wanted the amenity space to feel elevated. Like you would not find this in any other kind of a tower, because no other tower is really going to be a penthouse build like this. In fact, this might be the only penthouse in the city, which is kind of sad on one hand. Like I wish I had more space to put in more penthouses, but at the same time, like otherwise I would just be overloading the world with penthouse lots, and this world already has like 203 or 205 lots to build on. So, you know, I would have gotten a little carried away if I was trying to give like 2 or 3 penthouses into the build. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the only penthouse that we've got. I could change my mind as the series goes on, but I don't think that I have anything slated for such. I think I might have like a luxury condo build at one point that isn't a penthouse, but yeah. I'm kind of getting distracted with what's coming down the pipeline here. But yeah, elevated amenities, like luxurious amenities like this that really feel grand, is something that I wanted to offer players and to offer simmers. So really glad that it all just kind of panned out the way that it did. Again, like when I go back to edit this lot, which will be likely in the next episode, for the editing episode, I'll look into seeing if there's like an opportunity to add in those spray tan machines. If not, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. But yeah, I'm gonna see if there's like some different things that I need to add here and there. Every time that I watch these episodes or record the audio and all that, I always find that there's something new that I want to change slightly. Luckily, like, these don't seem to be like huge changes at all, but it's always something that that I find is something that I always need to do, or something that inspires me in a different way, I should say. The public spaces, like in the hallways and on the ground floor level, and what connects like the gym, the hammam, and the pool all together, is really a space that was inspired by the champagne lounge from the last episode. Either that or I got lazy, so you could take one of the two excuses there if you'd like. But yeah, I love the champagne color scheme that was going on, so I just kind of like muted it just a little bit so that it just didn't feel exactly the same, but definitely inspired. And you know, lore wise, it could also be explained that because the developer is the same for this tower and the last one, that the champagne elements could have been something that was found in common between the two towers here. But yeah, I'm kind of I use the champagne color scheme again for the public lots, and I kind of feel like it ties into what the actual main unit is going to look like. So I felt it all really tied together pretty well, and overall I was very happy with the way that it looked. The public space might actually be something that I could change out. I'll just kind of feel that one there. But yeah, really like how it's all turning out, how it's all coming to be. When it came to building the amenity basement level itself, unfortunately, like, it was a big bulk of the building time that I actually had to put in for the lot. And like I had mentioned earlier, I cut out some parts where I actually laid out the floor plan for the penthouse unit itself, because I was just going to, well, I'll end up revisiting it anyways, and you guys will see how that layout actually plays out. And you know, I will also like slot some screenshots when we get to the tours of what that floor plan actually looks like. So yeah, that's pretty much like, yeah, that is what I wanted to explain about that. This amenities floor took a long time, and honestly, I was getting nervous about my game because I always get, you know, this might be past Sims 3 trauma resurfacing, but whenever I spend a long time in my game, even though I do have a legitimate gaming computer, I'm always paranoid that it's going to crash on me. So I usually do a couple of saves and then I quit the game and then I reload it. And the game runs smoothly for me, don't get me wrong. Like, it runs like a dream, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, but it's just like, you know, I have this past trauma of it crashing on me when I'm in the middle of a build or something, and so I'm always like saving it or whatnot. Another way like around that as well is that if you don't like to save your game when you're playing, or you like to save at, you know, far intervals, or however that saying goes, you can always just like save the lot, and that usually doesn't take as long to save. In fact, I know that doesn't take as long to save. But yeah, if you find that your game is running slow, something else that kind of helped me as well is clearing out my saved lots. So if you're saving a lot, just kind of keep track of how many lots you actually have saved yourself and clear that out once in a while. I don't know why, but the last time I was playing The Sims 3 on an older computer, that seemed to work for me. I think that it is time to actually talk about the penthouse unit itself. So either you're seeing it on screen get built right before your eyes, or it will show up very shortly here. But the first thing that I kind of want to point out is that I am actually using a little bit of inspiration again from New York, from a specific penthouse build. However, the thing about this piece of inspiration is that I actually remembered it wrong. Specifically, I remembered the kitchen wrong, and the way that I had remembered it is that it was very much like a black and a yellow, and that was really the color scheme that I wanted to use for the penthouse, is using a very stark black, a very bold white, and then also yellow, where it all makes sense. And so the floors that you see me immediately place get changed, and I changed those floors out for a couple of reasons. The first being that, like, when you're using a lot of black and a lot of dark colors in your designs and all that, like, it can look a little like it can all fade and mold into one color, so there isn't like enough dimension to the floors. So I ended up changing those, even though I kind of like the texture that was used on them. If you remember, I actually saved that texture from the amphitheater build, and so I just used that there, but it just didn't work out, and I needed something that looked a little more smoother because it was giving it a more rustic look than I had anticipated. But yeah, the idea here, like especially when building out the parlor and the foyer hallway, I suppose, is just that I wanted that room to be white, and then it just kind of leads to the darker rooms of the rest of the penthouse. I wanted it to feel very luxurious and to feel like it was very much something that was built by a team of designers, and it's not necessarily something that's family friendly, but intended for a sim that is either, I don't know, I guess maybe they're famous, but they're very rich, that's for sure, and they can afford this piece of real estate right here. But yeah, in the entrance, I ran into so many like little hiccups and mistakes throughout this entire build, starting with like the form of the high-rise building itself, which led me into building that basement amenities floor, which turned out really well, if I dare say so myself. And then the other problem that I kind of accidentally ran into that turned into something really great and unique in my opinion is that when I was trying to figure out what kind of a wall light I wanted to put in as some sort of an entrance, I put it behind this statue of a pair of jaws eventually, and it kind of looked like a face to me, so I just kind of went with it. So I've got like mismatched wall lights paired with that statue of jaws, and it just kind of like looks like this face that you're kind of staring into when you enter into the apartment. And I felt like it was weird enough to kind of keep. And so yeah, I felt like it was a piece of modern art that was just like absolutely weird and something to just kind of go with. So I decided to go with that. And that's something that I wanted to just sort of play throughout with the rest of the penthouse build, is just to kind of explore those like weird little twists here and there. And I do something with some vases by a piano and everything. But yeah. The idea with the penthouse layout itself is that I wanted the kitchen to be big, to be very big. I feel like the kitchen is the engine of the home. It's something that I've described in the past, and for this build I wanted the kitchen to be big, and a big reason for that is actually because of the inspiration that I used, in that it had an oversized island to it, and much like the crumple bottom manor, I also wanted to give this one an oversized island as well. However, I didn't want that oversized island to be an eating nook or a breakfast nook, I suppose. I actually put in like a raised dining room just off the kitchen. But yeah, what you'll probably see me on screen here, just to jump around a little bit, and sorry for jumping around this entire build here, but what you're probably seeing on screen very shortly is actually the bathroom build out, and you'll see me use that same wallpaper that I used for the garage as I used for the hammam and the pool area up here. And again, another happy accident just kind of happened when I was copying it from the basement pool, and I decided to put in like a certain yellow to it, and it looked really neat, so I just kind of kept it in as a feature wall. So again, with everything being so dark, I really had to like use my pops of yellow very cautiously and carefully, because yellow can also overwhelm as well. But yeah, I love the way that the bathroom turned out, and for the rest of the bathrooms that get built throughout the penthouse, I might actually end up changing the color of the doors and windows to black to help balance it a little more. So that might be another edit that I end up doing in the next episode, but I'll just kind of see where that gets me. But yeah, the layout of the penthouse is very important because I really wanted to highlight the importance of the kitchen and to make it that like dream chef's kitchen that anybody would absolutely kill to have. And the most important feature of that kitchen, as is very obvious, are the countertops. And unfortunately, you don't get to see it during the actual build through, but in the screenshots in the tour at the end of the video, I actually carry that pattern on the countertops throughout. So it's that really cool, like cracked marble in there. And that's like really where a lot of that inspiration that I remember drawn came from, was through that cracked marble. And that cracked marble, again, when I was fooling around with the yellow, I decided to make it more of a gold and more of like a copper or a gold. Which are completely different colors from each other, but I made it with more orange hues and I really loved that even more. So I kept like the bathrooms a lot more yellow, but then I brought in those copper/gold hues into the rest of the great room and the living room and all of that. So yeah, some really awesome things happening with this build. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out, and it does feel like a luxurious, like $1 million penthouse. This penthouse is indeed a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom unit. It feels so odd like calling it by its actual thing there, but it's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms with the half bathroom just on the main level there for guests to use. And this penthouse was honestly designed to essentially look like it could be featured in a magazine somewhere. It serves more as like a bragging piece from whoever owns this lot, and you know, I envision that whoever would own this lot would come from a lot of money or have a lot of money to spend on it. And they would honestly hire a team of interior designers and such to really try to make it as chic and as modern as possible. And so, yeah, that was really the goal that I had with this. It has a tiny bit of function here and there. It's all play tested, so it's not like your Sims can't go into like certain rooms or whatnot, but it is something that was designed like that didn't have a nursery, for example. I didn't feel like a nursery was important for this kind of a build. I imagine that whoever owns this would either have like older kids or maybe teenage kids, or you know, they are just like living with their significant other, and that they would have the means to, you know, knock down whatever walls that they want. Really, the idea is to make this a really large space. And even then, like, one of the bedrooms could easily be knocked down to like open up the loft area overlooking the great room and whatnot. So there's a lot of possibilities there, but I felt that it was important to have this as a 4-bedroom penthouse unit. And so I just kind of went with it. And I decided to go with the lazy route, I suppose, and made the other 3 bedrooms all guest rooms, essentially. I don't regret it at all. I actually think that they look really nice. But yeah, that was really the vision here with the with all of the rooms. And with the great room in particular, I wanted to add in a piano. And again, I wanted to like put in that rich person flex and actually change the piano texture to match the counters. So it's a marble piano essentially. And I'm not too sure if that would even have the proper acoustics as a piano if it was made from marble, but I decided to put it in there because it just looked really cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed that little space there. And I put some vases beside it as well, just to kind of give that odd little art piece twist here and there to the actual lot build. Speaking of art, I really struggle when it comes to finding different art that I haven't already used. It's always a struggle to find that kind of thing, and that's really where like custom content really comes into place. And luckily though, in the same breath, because this is a penthouse, like most of the appeal is actually going to be within the views. So I really tried to opt for those glass, like floor to ceiling windows so that it could let a lot of natural light in, but also like give the Sims the views that they would obviously be paying for in a property like this. I think that at the end of the build, the property does end up getting priced at like 150,000 simoleons or something like that, which is okay. Like, it's comparable to a house that you would buy in the suburb, but you get a lot less square footage for it because, you know, because it's one of those, because it's a penthouse in the middle of the city. But yeah, I really love how it all turned out to, how it all like just kind of evolved to be. And I also decided to make a really controversial decision as well. The first controversial decision is that I think I forgot to place a stereo in the great room, so that was a big mistake there, and something I will throw in as part of my many things to do in the edit episode. But the other controversial decision that I decided to make was I decided not to put in a TV. And the reason being is that I feel like TVs are kind of going out of style these days. Or not so much out of style, but out of use. Like, there's no real use for TVs if you are like younger and have like a gaming laptop or a laptop that can be used to project on, you know, on whatever. And so I imagine that what they would do instead is they would just lower the drapes on their floor to ceiling windows and just like project a video screen onto that. So that's something that I decided not to go with. And besides, like, I was running out of room, and I would rather build in a bar and a place to like really host fancy parties at, as opposed to trying to like save space for a TV, and with that comes a couch, and it just didn't feel like it would fit the space anyways. So I really opted for that great room, party room feel, as opposed to it being a place to sit down and watch TV. And again, the argument for that is that with our laptops and with the ability to use projectors and all that, you can just, you know, use your laptop, hook it up to a projector screen, and just watch from there. But yeah, that was kind of the vision with the great room there. I've already explained the master bedroom, but with all of the bedrooms, what I decided to do is I decided to try to balance it by making two of them use a black color palette, and then the other two use a white color palette. So the master bedroom and ensuite all use that black color, and then the other two guest bedrooms use that white color. So that white color again is something that we used in the parlor, in the greeting parlor, I suppose. And so yeah, it kind of makes a nice resurgence back into here, where it just kind of helps to, you know, show that it wasn't an exception for the for the decor. One thing that I did forget to film me actually build, but you'll see in the screenshots, is that I did add in windows to each of the bedrooms. I don't know how I managed to forget that, but I did in the actual build through. But when I went to go take the screenshots, I kind of realized that these guys need some views here. So I quickly edited the windows to to each of the bedrooms there. So yeah, you'll see that kind of you'll see that pop back in there when we whenever we get to the tours. But yeah, each of the bedrooms have their own closets, and closet space is honestly something that I really struggle with, but I also want to incorporate within my builds. And so you'll see me just use that same like, I believe it's a door from Island Paradise. It seems to be like the only one that is suitable for closets. So if you guys use something different that suits closets better, feel free to drop that suggestion in the comment section. As you know, as much as I love this door for what it's doing, it's like not suitable for all styles. So, and the other doors feel like they're actual like doors, not closet doors. So yeah, I'm trying to build closet spaces in every build from now on, where I can. I kind of feel like because I failed so miserably with the closet space in the Bridgeview single family home, that I just want to try and like make up for it here. So yeah, I built in some closets for all of them, and then that big walk-in closet again, that department store style closet, is something that I have included as part of the master bedroom wing, I suppose. So yeah, feels very luxurious. Again, I've done playtesting for all of it, so it's not like your Sims can't actually move through certain parts or like they're blocked off from certain things. It's all playtested, and yeah, I want this lot to actually function properly for when you do move families in and such. Something to note as well is that I actually did struggle with the lighting, and I had to, you know, reluctantly resort to using the lighting from the by debug mode. It's supposed to be like quote unquote invisible, but I'm not too sure how accurate that is. Anyways, I really needed to light the rest of the great room, so I ended up using it because the rest of the walls were using those floor to ceiling windows, and the views are honestly like what you pay for a property like this for. So I wasn't going to compromise on the views in any way, shape, or form. And so yeah, I ended up using those kind of lights there. And it's something that I hope are that I hope remain invisible during playthroughs and such. That was one thing that I actually didn't really test when I was playing through it. And I might actually, because at the time I'm recording the audio, I also realized that I don't have any nighttime screenshots either of the skyline, the newly built out skyline. So I'm just gonna have to continue to I'm just gonna have to do that as well quickly before I actually edit the episode and everything. But anyways, one of my favorite parts to the upstairs is actually one that, again, was a happy accident in a way. I completely forgot to add in space. Well, I sort of drew in like a space for a den, but it really functioned like I really needed a home office, so I decided to like convert the den space just off the master bedroom and beside the other bathroom there, the upstairs bathroom. So yeah, I decided to convert that into a fully fledged out office space, but then when I got there I realized that there's also no laundry at all, so I had to improvise a little bit and create a little mudroom. It turned out really well, actually, and you know, the walls that I used and the particular wallpaper that I used was really something that reminded me of some of the Sims 4 builds out there. So I actually think that aesthetically this penthouse looks really nice, and it does look like a proper like designer penthouse, like a multi-million dollar designer penthouse that you would find in the middle of New York or something. So the mudroom design that I did, again, was very basic. It's more functional than anything, but I really like how I like set up the door and stuff. Yeah, I really like how it all turned out. Like, it's such a small room, but it's super functional and it actually works properly, which is the important part of it all. So yeah, just one of those small things that I really enjoyed here, and I felt like really went a long way to help make this lot come about. So yeah, very happy with it all, and even though I did run into that lighting issue at several points, because again, like the multi-level chandeliers don't really light up that well, even though I am turning those up as their highest intensity. But hey, yeah, when I go back into the game to get the screenshots of the nighttime skyline, I will certainly look into whether or not you can see those lights or not. The quote-unquote invisible lights. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But yeah, the penthouse, honestly, the unit itself really came together quite quickly because I knew that I was going to be using the same themes throughout everything. So the bathrooms are essentially just going to stay the same for each of the 2.5 bathrooms. I knew that I wanted the bedrooms to just be guest bedrooms. Perhaps I was lazy, perhaps not. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And then the master bedroom was, of course, just like an elevated version of one of the black guest rooms. So it all came together. The penthouse, I feel, looks gorgeous. I can't stop like looking at it, and when I load up my game, you know, I'm always tempted to just like get into that the edit town mode just to like look at it. So I really enjoy how it came together. I think it came together super nicely. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We've got some other things like down the pipeline as well. I think I mentioned it in my last episode that I am sort of looking to take a little bit of a break from YouTube, and I am still kind of that mindset as well, but don't worry, I am at least going to get the editing episode out to you guys, and I'll be making an announcement on my channel soon as to what that break is going to look like and when you guys can expect me to return and whatnot. Honestly, like for the last year, since April of 2023, I've been pumping out a lot of videos. Like there's over 200 videos on my channel, so that was mostly done without any kind of a break. I've been making videos weekly at this point. so yeah, I am looking forward to taking some sort of a break here. But yeah, what you guys can expect next up in the series is there is that editing episode where I'm going to look at all of the downtown core lots that I've built so far and, you know, edit them here and there. I imagine it's going to be a much shorter episode than this one, but hey, the last editing episode I did last an hour, surprisingly. So, I'll just kind of see and play it by ear here and just kind of see what I need to do for each of the lots. Like what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewatch all of my downtown core episodes and just sort of see if there are any changes that I would like to make. But yeah, I am going to end the episode here. Yeah, I'm going to end the episode here, I think. If the tours aren't already playing, then feel free to stick around for those. I do make a couple of changes in the tours that you wouldn't have seen in the Speedbuild playthrough. Some of those changes include, of course, adding windows to the bedrooms, which is something I forgot, and I don't know how I managed to forget that because bedroom views are very important in penthouses. And I also extended the counter pattern from the kitchen island to the rest of the counters, and it just looks phenomenal. So I'm really glad that I did that and I made that change. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for the moment. You guys can certainly expect another episode for the SimCity build-outs, and it is going to be an editing episode. So yeah, very excited to share that with you guys. And yeah, I will see you then, I suppose. And you know, if you've enjoyed this series, if you've been enjoying this speed build playthrough, then feel free to like this video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Just going to take another minute here to say thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.